Let's take a look at essay number 2, the informative essay. And this is the particular essay that we will be doing next. So I want to start off by maybe apologizing a little bit for this essay. And I always do this when I introduce this. This is the essay that all English 111 students in the face-to-face classes are doing. This is the standard essay, right? So kind of keep that in mind. The thing to think about here is that, again, you've done this essay several times, right? You've had to talk to your counselor about what you want to do, or when you were signing up for classes, or you've written this paper in high school. Maybe you've written it for another class here. But this is such a common paper. Like, what do you want to do with your future? What is your future career plans? What are your career goals? So I want to apologize because this is an assignment that you have done before. That said, I think it is also helpful that we start with something like this because this keeps the entry into the assignment fairly low. The bar is set kind of low, at least skill-wise, because you are already familiar with the topic. You're also familiar with what needs to be said or explored. And so, yes, it may be a topic that you're not going to find very exciting, maybe repetitive, but at least it is something that you are already familiar with, and it takes one hurdle out from in front of you. So what we're going to do, you're going to do some research on a career that you plan to pursue or an occupation that you're interested in, and the purpose is to inform your audience about that career to make them smarter about it. Remember, I told you I will always tell you the purpose, and I will usually tell you the audience. The purpose for this paper is to inform, to make the reader smarter, more educated about this career choice. What's the audience? The audience are people like you, adults like you, that have an interest in this career. Okay? Now, the goal of your paper, the purpose is to make them smarter, not to persuade them to go into this field, okay? And you do need to be kind of clear that we're not trying to persuade people, we're just informing people. What are some of the things that you might look at? Well, salary, working hours, availability, the required trainings, and what it takes to become that, right? So there are some things to kind of, there's some starting points. There's some pretty obvious starting points of what you want to do. Okay, this is 750 to 1,000 words. Okay, so around 3 pages or so. And you will use at least 3 cited sources in this paper. Okay, not one source cited 3 times, but 3 different sources that are cited at least once each. One of those sources must be the Occupational Outlook Handbook from the Bureau of Labor Statistics from the Department of Labor. And I've included the link here, okay? And I'll just take you over to that, bls.gov/OH, Occupational Outlook Handbook. And it's a website that looks like this, okay? It's a website that looks like this, bls.gov/OOH, okay? The Department of Labor and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they keep all this information about different careers, right? And so there's some occupational groups. You can start by going down here. If there's something that you know falls into a particular group, then you can go into that. For instance, media and communications. And it pulls up some different things, and you can look at them in here, right? You can also search the handbook, like for landscaper, right? You want to do landscaping, okay? So there's all kinds of different things to look for. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if you start with these broad topics, okay, you have to narrow it down. For instance, nursing, it'll kind of break it down into certain areas like pediatric or emergency care, pre-hospital care or something, right? So there's a lot. It breaks it kind of down into some narrow areas. If you search, you might find something that is slightly like yours. You may or may not find exactly yours, okay? But, when you are in here and you're looking around, you will find it may or may not be the easiest thing to find your particular career. If that's the case, just broaden out your search a little bit. When you go into a area, let's just go to dental hygienist for instance. it gives you all this information. So here, right off the bat, is this summary, right? Here's this little bit of summary, and it gives you some little quick bits of it. These little bits here are the same as these tabs up here. So what do dental hygienists do? Here's a breakdown of what they do. What's the work environment, right? It gives you all this different information. It's pay, it's job outlook. It breaks it down by state so you can look at particular states and smaller areas, okay? This is really good, solid information. It is very objective. There is very little subjectivity to this information. So it's really good and really useful, okay? So that is one of the sources that you need to use. The other two sources are up to you. Now, there is the possibility that you interview somebody that's in the field, somebody that is an expert in that area. Maybe it could be a teacher of yours in that area, something like that. So you have some options if you want to interview somebody. Now, if you want to interview them, you do need to ask them to fill out this page, just because we want to make sure they know that they're being interviewed for the paper, right? Now, you do not need to interview somebody, okay? You do not need to interview somebody. If you want to interview somebody, you are more than welcome to do so. Just fill out this form. I do caution you that if you interview somebody, you first off want to make sure that they are very they're very knowledgeable about this about the area, right? That's probably a given that you're not going to have to worry too much about it. That they have some sort of credibility. All right. So if they've been working the job for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, maybe even a few months, it's kind of like how much insight can they provide? Likewise, you want to kind of be careful that they don't take on a too negative of a tone, because you've worked with those people, those people. They've been in an area really long. They're kind of jaded. They're grumpy. They're negative about the topic or whatever. So you do want to be kind of careful of who you pick. Make sure that they have credibility, and you have a reason for them to be you have a reason to be interviewing them for this paper. So again, the informative essay is exploring your career choice, something that you're interested in going into as a career or occupation. You cannot use you as a source because you are currently working in it. All right. That does not make you an expert in this area. But it is something, if you are in that area, that's fine. You can write about it, but you cannot use yourself as an expert. 750 words, 750 to 1,000 words, at least 3 cited sources.